This is the Brilliantly Branded podcast, a safe place to have a voice and talk about branding and all the reasons that bring a brand to be brilliantly branded. I am your host, Maria Lucia Romero, and I am welcoming you to this journey of learning and inspiration to build awareness around the brands. This is the Brilliantly Branded podcast. Prepare to be moved and inspired by a truly special episode. Our guest today is another amazing woman, a Colombian-born food designer, food stylist, and chef in the vibrant city of New York. She is Mariana Velasquez. She holds a special place in my heart as a dear friend of over 15 years. Her journey has been done from collaborating with big brands to working on Michelle Obama's American Grown project. So Mariana's experiences have been nothing short of extraordinary. So in this episode is not to be missed, as Mariana Velasquez's inspirational presence reminds us that dreams can be achieved through passion, perseverance, and the power of true friendship. Her remarkable journey makes us run deep our emotions. So with grace and authenticity, she shares invaluable advices for inspiring business creators, emphasizing the importance of staying true to one's roots, infusing personal touch into their work, and building a consistent and engaging online presence. So get ready to be touched by Mariana's words and uplifted by her unwavering spirit on this deeply special and lovely episode. So welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. Well, our episode today are so special. We have a very special guest who is not only an incredible talent in the culinary world, but also a dear friend of mine. Mariana Velasquez, a Colombian-born food designer, food stylist, and chef who have been making waves in New York, and not only in New York, all over the world in the past 2 decades. So the most beautiful part of this episode is that Mariana and I have been friends for over 15 years, and I couldn't be more excited to have her here today to share her experiences on the culinary world as well in the brand development and all this personal branding that she is managing nowadays. So let's say welcome, Mariana, to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. But most importantly, please let us know who you are.
Maria Lucia, thank you so much for having me. Who am I? As you said earlier, I've dedicated my life to the world of food, design, cooking, styling, writing books, all with these axle of sharing at the end of the day. I'm from Colombia and I've been in the US for a couple of decades. Yeah, that's essentially who I am.
Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing. And you and I as a Colombian, but and you and I abroad, and you living in New York for the past 20 years, as you well said, how has the cultural background influenced your personal brand and the way that you approach food styling?
And I think in the beginning it wasn't so palpable. I think I didn't feel it as a part of my style, except the more I grew as a creative, the more I kept returning to those roots, the more I kept finding inspiration in the things I grew up with, or the colors, the textures. That calling of like Colombian aesthetics kept calling and kept drawing my attention so that I could reinvent and recreate it my way. But I think it's undeniable. There's something within me that it's, unapologetically Colombian.
Let's say roots.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
roots, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. I mean, our roots are quite strong, and myself the same as a professional. I am always putting this side as a Colombian, and having this identity that I think that people can recognize me for who I am, of course, but coming from Colombia, like, I have this stamp that really let the people know in certain way that I really love my roots, and I really love to be Colombian. I'm so proud
Yeah.
about that. So I'm so happy that you too, and you have been this such an amazing, putting the name of yourself, but the name of our country in a very good place, and I'm so proud about
Thank
that.
you.
And well, I have been witnessed firsthand many things that you have been doing, all this strong personal brand and this competitive culinary industry. And based on that, what will be your recommendations to aspiring people, women, chefs, people that want to work in culinary or in general, uh, who wants to establish their own unique brand while staying true to their roots, as we have been talking?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like in any career, learn the basics, learn the rules, pay your dues, build a foundation, learn from others, pay attention, listen, work with many people, put in the time so that then you can break the rules, make it your own way, and define your style. And I think that personal seal is something that grows over time and gets more and more clear with years of experience, with travel, with reading. I think even though the work that we do is so visual and so tactile, I think reading is a very important tool to sort of broaden the mind and also interpret ideas your own way without being bombarded with the visuals of other people. But then you can imagine what you want and what you want to create through reading and through your own lens.
Yeah, and to keeping this authenticity that actually have been making you so special and making you create such an amazing products, because one of your products is the aprons. These aprons that I have been always have this special admiration in order that how you have been consistently blend fashion and the fashion design and this culinary artistic that is beautiful and really reflected in one of your products, that is the aprons, Casa Velasquez aprons right now. So can you tell us more about the inspiration behind that and those elements that you have been creating with this product and
Yeah.
brand?
So when I was mainly food styling, you're on set, but you're in the kitchen, you're cooking. Most people don't know that food stylists actually cook the food and buy the ingredients, and you're essentially a chef or a cook on set. And I wanted to wear an apron that was utilitarian, but also made me feel well dressed in a creative environment. So I designed this crossback apron with long tails. I initially bought fabrics at the flea market. I would have them made by the seamstress in Bogota I would go to and bring her the pieces, and she would help me kind of interpret my ideas. And that was the beginning of it all. I continued to evolve the apron design, um, the style of it, the finishing in terms of sewing and details of the materials, my own fabric. So it's been a brand that has evolved and now has expanded from just aprons into tableware, into table stationery, and then a curation of vintage tableware as well.
I saw that. I saw that. And this is very impressive because I think when you born that brand and the idea with the aprons, I was very curious because all the combination and the collections that you have been launched, you have been having a special identity and have been a different colors and putting still all this authenticity that you have behind. How many collections have you been launched until
So with
now?
Casa Velasquez, we've launched 3 collections. So our goal is to have 2 a year and to keep the collections current, meaning they won't disappear with the seasons. I mean, homewares, there's a variation in colors and styles here and there, but we want our collections to be timeless and remain so that people can continue to replace their pieces and also not have these sense of kind of fast fashion, but more sustainable and durable.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. And well, this is just one little part because it's I just wanted to bombard you with questions because it's I really am let's say so proud about all the things that you have been doing and all the value that you have been adding to the world. And one of these once in a lifetime projects that really impact me and that I remember when that happened, it was when you're working on Michelle Obama's The Project of America's Grown, and stepping into the White House kitchen and garden. So how you can really describe that project and how that really was an opportunity to shape your personal brand and open doors to a new and exciting ventures?
I mean, it was a really exciting project. It was such a privilege, really, to be welcomed into that creative team to style initially the cover of the book and then to style the recipes that were part of the content of edible school gardens and healthy eating in public schools in the US. And it was incredible. I mean, from working with the First Lady, who's an incredible human, to just, as you said, kind of opening doors with that project um, that allowed me to continue to grow and explore different parts of not just food styling, but then doing creative projects where I could do more art direction and guide the narrative of different initiatives and ideas.
Yeah, and adding something is the fact that you mentioned at the beginning, and is to be always learning, always opening to get new opportunities, to travel, to make the most of those the things that is coming to our life that really are shaping our
Mhm.
way and shaping the way that we are delivering our professional and personal
Yeah.
lives. So part of the things that you have been doing too is have been a part of this amazing publication like the New York Times, Vogue, among others, because I have been realizing that it was a lot. And someone who has successfully promote their own brand in social renowned media outlets, what advice would you give to aspiring professional looking to gain this exposure and attract the attention of influential publications?
Mm, I think you have a really good story. It's not just about a product. It's not just about a brand or a concept. There has to be a story behind it. There has to be a hook. Something for a journalist to want to talk about it and want to write about. What media is looking for is, yeah, stories, something to tell. So make sure that your brand, it's more than just aesthetics and beauty, but there's a story and there's a concept. Yeah.
Wow, that really touched my, this make me feel even the goosebumps. It's like because it's surreal. I mean, it's something that I have been repeating to my clients all the
Mhm.
time. The story that we need to put behind the brands and how we really are telling even the ups and downs. Even the downs, because most of the people are telling the story just the tip of the iceberg, and then you realize that, well, probably this is not what is touching the people.
Mhm.
This is not
Yeah.
the right side of the story that the people want to know. And those stories, well, the thing is that this is not very easy to build around.
Right. Yeah.
You need a lot of consistency, and over the years you have become with a lot of consistency and attention to
Mhm.
details in your work, in all the things that you have been doing, whether food stylist or art direction, all the things. So how do you ensure that your personal brand shines even when you need to keep the scope of the client, for example?
I mean, I think it goes in tandem. I feel that my brand, Casa Velasquez, is very much who I am. Um, but of course, in order to grow and broaden my market, I need to not just make it me, right? Like I need to sort of appeal to different audiences. So these days where you can sort of keep your personal brand and your business separate and together in a way, I think it's a good strategy. And sometimes it's confusing. Sometimes it's like, is this Mariana Velasquez or is this Casa Velasquez or is it both? Who is it? But
I
it's
love
part
it.
of refining and fine tuning and constantly evolving, right? Like constantly recreating, which can feel daunting at times, to be honest. But in other times, there are no rules, you know? I mean, we can just do it however
Yeah.
we want.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mentioned this confusion, but I think that you have been keeping something very
Yeah.
clear, and is this unique
Hmm.
voice. You are Mariana Velasquez, and you have Casa Velasquez, but at the end is this unique voice that represents your authenticity, that represents who you are in front of all the people, so the people can recognize you as a personal brand, Mariana Velasquez, or your businesses that have this strong background that is
Hmm.
you. So I think that having that is really having a successful brand, and a brand that I consider to be brilliantly branded, because keeping all the things aligned and well tuned is something that I know that is not easy to
Hmm.
do. And actually putting your personality and this personal touch in all the things that you are doing, I think is the way that your brand, or have you been making your brand stand out, or do you have any other things that you do with your brand to make that stand out in the way that you are doing?
I mean, um, I think really good photography and visuals are key, especially for the kind of brand that I have. And collaborating with different creatives, different photographers or fashion stylists or even prop stylists who see my brand and can sort of give it a little bit of a different twist from what I would do. And that's a way to keep it fresh and to keep your images current and to keep creating and making the very editorial, perfect content accompanied by organic, beautiful, but real, approachable material. I think is a good way to keep your audience engaged. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. And actually, I remember one day that you and I was getting ready some pictures from your
Hmm.
portfolio, and we were trying to organize the things, in order to build something for you to show, but always with this entrepreneurial
Hmm.
spirit that have been letting you arrive until you have been arriving. So, what are the lessons that you have learned along the way about the importance of this consistency and these deep connections that you have with your audiences?
What are the lessons? I think in the tough days, remember what the North is, like remember that North Star. Because it's easy when you're super motivated and everything's going well. It's in the moments where there's hardship that it's key to remember why, like the deeper reason why. And that's a way to keep yourself motivated to keep going. And you use a word that it's keys, consistency and persistence. You have to keep
Yeah.
doing it. Um, and it doesn't matter that it has to be exactly as you first imagine it. Projects can pivot, they can change, they can transform, but what is not an option is quitting. I mean, at least for me.
Yeah, and I think that for
I
me too. I mean,
know.
that's the reason why we have we have been keeping this friendship, because it's amazing how I'm always remember those words, and coming from our long conversations and
Yeah.
support. This how do you say, soriarity, when you are supporting and you are giving this, and I think you have this drive, and this drive is necessary to be an empowered woman,
Yeah.
let's say, because this is what I'm feeling from you, and this is what I'm feeling from me
Hmm.
too. And another big project that I saw that you did is
Hmm.
Colombiana. This amazing book that is one of the four. It's not just one cookbook. It's one of the four books that you have been produced. And I really will love you to share with us, our
Hmm.
audiences, about that experience, about the inspiration behind the book, and how you have been doing the things to show of course, the reach of all heritage that we have in our country,
Yeah.
Colombia?
Well, if you had asked me 5 years ago if I would ever write a Colombian cookbook, I would have said no. Um, but I had this really meaningful conversation with a friend who's a cookbook author as well, and she's a client. And she candidly asked me, like, every time I question why you haven't written a Colombian cookbook, you've rolled your eyes. And I said to her, "What do you mean? I don't remember that." And she was like, "Yeah, there's really a space in the market for it. Why didn't you do it?" And as good friends
Yeah.
do, she gave me a deadline. She said, "You have to write a proposal. Tell me when you're gonna turn it in to me." I mean, like directly to her, kind of like as that accountability to get it going. And I did. I mean, I went home and I started writing, and this book poured out of me. It was between, as we say in Spanish, entre pecho y espalda, between my chest and my back. And it just, yeah, the recipes were there, the ideas were there, the concept. And it was a project that became cathartic and talk about really connecting me to my roots. It took me to difficult places too. It took me to remembering the magic of growing up and those memories of the people who left a mark. And and for the most part, it was really fun. I mean, my husband Diego was a huge, huge part of this project. He produced it. He helped me write it.
Wow.
And then, it was published in 2021. And I am still surprised when I receive messages from readers that prepare the food all over the world. And it's really
Yeah.
touching just because I mean, I never really expected it to have this kind of impact, and it's been very rewarding.
Yeah, I think that add more season to your
Hmm.
brand, to your personal brand, to your roots, to where we are coming from. And this is something that probably sometimes when we coming abroad, we are not thinking about that. We are just thinking to be adapted to the new society, and probably we forget, some things that happen in our countries, in our roots. But bringing the things and having a product actually that have been showing that is something that I am personally feeling so proud about that. And yes, so this is the kind of things, Mariana, that make you so special. And of course, it's not because you are my friend that I'm saying that. I'm sure the people that are listening to us right now are proud of all this strength, all of this, let's say, stamina that you need to really do the things that you decide to do. Because one thing is saying things that you are going to do, but very different is really take
Yeah,
actions and
for
doing
sure.
the things. So you are a big example about that, and and I think this is one of the things that really will inspire a lot of
Mm.
people, because sometimes we have dreams and we say, well, yeah, one day I'm going to do this or that, or I'm going to maybe transform this part of me that I don't like or that I know that I can improve. But actually take
Mhm.
actions, and doing is what make the difference, and you have been doing the
Thank
difference.
you.
So I have to congratulate you publicly one more time.
Thank you, thank you.
And just coming back a little bit with our for example,
Mhm.
social media, of course, is the way that we are communicating our personal
Mhm.
brands, doing all this marketing and branding. And as someone that have been this success in the products that you have been launched, in the brands that you have been launched, how do you maintain this engaging online presence, still keeping these roots and this authenticity that you have been talking us until
Um,
now?
I mean, I think it's that honest message that keeps the audience engaged, really. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think on one end is really, really thinking about the message, really thinking about the copy and why we're posting what we're posting, and not it be a deliberate process, but really a well thought out one. And I think communicating directly with the audience. I mean, I have a team that helps me with all of my social media for Casa Velasquez, and they insist, that I have to be more present, that I have to do more videos, that, and that, even though I like the camera and I like being in front of the camera, it's draining, and it's like, it takes, yeah,
It's a
and
lot
I
of
want it to
work.
be perfect. I have a really tough time with the whatever background, it doesn't really matter. I want it to look good. And so, yeah, it's something that I kind of like push back on, but then I see the results. I see the results of when I have a presence, how our audience responds right away.
Yes, I know, and I have been there. This producing content, not just for me, but for my
Hmm.
clients, and let them in certain way to understand that the present needs to be constant, and you need to be putting that out. This information all the time is probably the most challenging things that I have been found during my
Hmm.
career, because it's very easy to give to the client a communication plan and say, well, this is the things that you have to communicate, or the story behind, as you will say it. But how frequently are you going to do that? What is the channels that are you going to really put your communication and spread your voice? Those are the right channels or not? So all these kind of things, the things that really end up making your brand succeed, and keeping that up to date is something difficult, and I think it's a struggle moment all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, for sure.
But well, we have been always there and always having these up and
Hmm.
downs. And part of our coming a little bit from our personal
Hmm.
friendship, I would like you to share a little bit of something about a funny moment or memorable moment that we have been shared over the years that still bring a smile to your face.
So many moments, so many moments. I mean, I remember going to my mom's weekend house together and just talking until 3 a.m. Like the conversation would just like kind of like teenagers. We would talk and talk and talk until late into the night and laugh, and always with your amazing energy and humor. It was
Thank
just
you.
so fun and so easy, like there were no extraordinary plans. It was just good company, and that it was and is still so refreshing, and fills me with energy just to think about it.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's the same with me. And sometimes when I'm coming back to those moments, I'm thinking, well, in certain way, I don't know if I have been like a bipolar on those moments, because it was
Oh, of
laughing
course,
and crying.
totally. It was all the emotions.
But one of the things that I have been keeping with me even nowadays is this special touch. When I'm going to offer a dinner
Hmm.
at home, I am doing exactly the same process that we have
Yeah,
doing together. So putting all the things that actually you have been converted in
yeah.
a brand. So, when I see all the things that you are posting, for example, on
Hmm.
social media, and I see one of your products that is
Yeah,
Cena Rosa, for example, it's an amazing product because, well, we haven't talked about that. I don't know if you want to talk a
yeah,
bit about that product, because it's reflecting many things that you have been doing since since I met you.
yeah,
So can you talk about a little bit about that
yeah.
product
So
specific?
Sena Rosa was a project that came about in 2017. I read a story on the New Yorker about Luis Barragan, the Mexican architect, and about his obsession with color and his fearlessness when it came to combining indigo blues and acid yellows, and of course the pink, the Barragan pink that is so iconic, especially in a time where it was
Yeah.
Bauhaus, it was 1960s, 1970s, modern architecture that really had no color. And he was so unafraid. And in that story, I read that he seldomly had entirely pink lunches. And he was an exquisite man. And so I thought, okay, what would that lunch look like? And I made it into a personal project, a photo series initially, preparing food recreating in my mind what it would have been to sit at Barragan's table in 1976 in El Pedregal in Mexico City and imagine what that food would be. And so then that project from a photo series grew into a series of dinners that I hosted in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Bogota, in Mexico City, here in New York, where initially it's a salon where I interview an architect of the city. And then the entire menu is created with local ingredients that are entirely pink. So everything's real food, nothing's colored or dyed. But it's that exploration of the local ingredients and produce guided through this one lens that really helped the narrative and creativity. I mean, sometimes people ask, what is a good source for inspiration? And I think sometimes it just takes reading one line in a magazine like that happened to me that opened up a whole world creatively and visually, and then opportunities for projects came about. Yeah.
So, would you like to come to Luxembourg and
Yes,
do one
I
cena
would
rosa one
love
day?
that. Let's set a date.
I will
Yeah,
love
that
that
would be
too, you know?
incredible. Yes.
I will love that too, and I think that I'm going to start to dig a little bit deeper on
Yeah.
that, because that is something that sounds very interesting. You know, I think here Luxembourg have that, a tiny
Mhm.
country where you end up knowing
Everybody, right.
everybody around. I mean, this is amazing, and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Idea, and let me dig
Okay.
on that, and let's have conversations after that. But I know that that will be something amazing, because that give a lot of value, and connecting that especially with this
Mhm.
creativity side. What are those things that you can share with our audiences, our listeners, that probably they are dreaming to build their own personal brand or their own business, and what is the things that probably you can advise them to keep in mind all the time to go big
Oh,
like you?
oh my God, Maria Lucia. Thank you. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that. What would be the advice? I think finding finding and surrounding yourself with people who support you and also challenge you, who push you to go further, who know your potential and don't let you sell yourself short. Um, and then find the motivation when you least have it, in those moments where it feels like you just want to crawl into bed. That's the moment to push through. That's the moment to really fight it and and honor the way you feel, but just keep going. And I think, I mean, the creative world has its challenges because it's so personal. It's
Yeah.
something that is intrinsic to our emotions, to ourselves, but sometimes we need to make it a business. And so dividing yourself into the creative and the entrepreneur and knowing the difference, it's key. And if you can't find the difference, get a partner who's your CEO, who can really be the business
Yeah.
side and you can be the creative side. And it's great to collaborate. I mean, I think that interdependence is fundamental to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Building the teams, and actually, I completely agree with you. I think that we alone we are get faster, but in a group we I don't remember the things. You know, I'm messy
You're so
kind
good
of
with
person.
saying so.
Exactly, but no, yeah, and I am doing it. That is the most important. But actually, yeah, you know, the entire phrase, and I know that when Philip hear that, he's going to say, "But no, this is not the way to say that." Always happen. But anyways, people, I think people understood what I wanted to
Absolutely.
say. But but yeah, building teams and doing these collaborations actually give a lot of satisfaction, because you end up using and all these talents that the people are offering to you, and building a strong things and giving a strong results. That is the
Yeah.
most important thing for the world. So just to wrap up, mi
Yeah.
querida Mariana, what are those actionable steps? I mean, you have been giving us a lot already now, but I don't know if you want to add something else, something for this community that the main purpose right now is that we wanted to empower these women that probably have been struggle or have been having this moment of, well, I wanted to create my product or my business or my brand, but how I'm going to do that. So I don't know if you have something else to add, plus all the things that you have said until
I would
now.
say have a plan and be ready to change it. Take your time thinking about what your brand is going to be, and also be flexible and let it evolve and grow. And then lastly, try to enjoy the process. Enjoy what it takes to get there. Yeah.
Wow, it's beautiful as always. And I think that that is keeping our connection always
Always.
alive. And I have to say thank you, Mariana, because you have been not always a very good friend of mine, but in this moment of my life, I've been a fantastic guest, and also bringing this wonderful energy and friendship to share here with the world about all those years that we have been sharing, even we have been not all the time one next to the other. So it has been a pleasure, absolutely pleasure having you here on my podcast. And I really wish all the best for you and for all the projects that are
Thank you
coming
and
for you.
congratulations. Brilliantly branded. It's a brilliant idea. And I cannot wait to share it with many people when this episode is out in the world.
No. Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing your brand to be brilliantly branded. Thank you very much. Bye bye. We hope you have been inspired by this content and join us for future episodes of the Brilliantly Branded podcast. We will continue exploring the power of branding and the stories behind successful brands. And remember, if you know a woman who has built a successful brand with a unique approach and a story to share, please refer them to our podcast. We would love to learn from their experiences and share their story with our listeners. Stay tuned for more episodes of Brilliantly Branded, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel for more branding insights and women empowerment. Until the next episode, ciao ciao.